Yo, I'm KBHD here. Welcome to your first
11 minutes ago.
look and hands-on with the Nintendo Switch 2. And this is everything you need to know. It's obviously one of the hottest and most anticipated new consoles in a long time. So when Nintendo invited me to this little hands-on in New York City with a few other YouTubers, obviously, I said yes. So the first Switch, I don't know if you remember, came out in 2017. So naturally, almost a decade later, there's a bunch of stuff that people, including myself and your casual, have been waiting for this to be updated. And spoiler alert, they basically, I think, hit every single one of those things. But there is one big asterisk kind of overhanging all of it. So general form factor wise, this shape, very familiar.
Okay, I don't mind him getting the Switch early. That's fine. I'm not gonna hate it. Mario Kart early. You got to play Mario Kart before everybody else. Dude, I'm about to make a protest.
It looks like a Switch. Like you've probably already seen the images online, but it is noticeably bigger. So it's the same thickness as the first generation, but it feels thinner because everything's kind of spread out more. It's bigger. The body's bigger. The Joy-Cons are bigger. And it's mostly driven by this big new screen. So it's now a 7.9-inch display up front, up from 6.2.
Massive.
And this is still an LCD, but it's now a 1080p variable refresh rate LCD that gets up to 120 hertz. And it just looks so much better than the original Switch. It looks plenty bright to me, too. It supports HDR as well. Notably, it's not an OLED, though, so it doesn't have the perfectly inky blacks or the battery life advantages that come.
In the current year, chat, I kind of wish that they had a bulkier version, like a Steam Deck version with upgraded hardware for like higher or devs that want to make a game for and give an option for that and upscale and just a higher frame rate, higher whatever. Dude, I know it's Nintendo, but dude, at this point, chat, they need to adapt to the market. They should. Yeah, it's not good enough anymore.
With an OLED. I do kind of think that we're eventually also going to see a Switch 2 OLED. I think that makes sense. It'll probably be in a few years. There's probably also going to be a Switch 2 Lite in a few years as well. Doesn't mean you have to wait for those. It's just something to keep in mind in the back of your head. But yeah, I'm definitely loving the variable refresh rate up to 120 hertz. Every game they're showing here takes advantage of it. You know how iPhone defenders always love to say, oh, people can't tell the difference between 60 and 120 hertz. It's no big deal. But
dude, chat, guys, I get it, chat, 140 to 280 or whatever, right? Dude, 60 to 140 or 120 is fucking insane. It's not, dude.
High refresh rate and gaming go hand in hand, so I think a lot of people will appreciate the smoother games and potentially also the smoother UI that comes with it. So the screen is the biggest improvement. Now, there are some other, nice quality of life improvements here, like the full width kickstand that lets you prop it up at a pretty wide variety of angles, including almost all the way down, similar to the Switch OLED. But they added another port up to the top as well. And that makes it easier to charge while the console's kind of sitting on a table or something, since that was a pain before. And it's also perfect for the additional USB Type-C accessories, which I'll get to in a second. But I think the other obvious biggest upgrade is the new Joy-Cons.
These look pretty sick.
So many things are better about these new Joy-Cons. First of all, they are bigger, like everything else, which ergonomically is very welcome. The left and right sticks are larger too. There's a new C button down here for game chat, which I will also get to in a second. And then they connect to the main console with magnets in a really satisfying way. They basically just slap right onto the side and line up automatically. No slide necessary. Love a good magnet. You get them off by holding this release button here, which is literally just a lever that pushes the Joy-Con off the side of the Switch. And I think it's really nicely calibrated. If you just touch the release button but don't pull, the Joy-Con actually pushes off but then snaps right back on because the magnet is so strong. But if you release and pull, then it just pops off really easily, and then you can snap it back on whenever you want with a nice click.
It seems pretty close to the button, but I'm not going to complain.
Most of the Joy-Con is still made of plastic to be lightweight, but at the top here, these SR and SL buttons, first of all, they are way bigger than last gen, but they're also actually made of the metal that the magnets in the console are attracted to. They're steel buttons. So that's why the connection between the Joy-Cons and the Switch are so strong. It's that metal right there. My only worry here is actually just durability. So you can see when you pull that Joy-Con off, you can see these pins on the Switch. And I kind of wonder how many little kids are going to bend those pins. Like, there is a tiny bit of wiggle actually built in to hopefully make it not snap too easily. But yeah, there's no way to tell until they start shipping these to real people. and we start seeing the stories rolling in, but I'm going to keep an eye on that. Oh, and there's also stronger feeling haptics. They're called HD Rumble 2. The Rumble Pack is directly attached to the plastic in the back of the Joy-Cons. They feel nice and strong, a little bit more precise too, so that's really nice. And then lastly, each Joy-Con can also be used as a mouse in supporting games. I did not see this one coming. It's kind of interesting idea, but basically there's a small optical sensor on the side of the Joy-Con. So if you turn that Joy-Con horizontally and place that sensor down on a table, you can move it around like a mouse, even rotate it, and that acts as yet another input method that apparently certain games will work pretty well with. I was doing this demo of a wheelchair basketball game, and so it ended up being pretty intuitive. You kind of hold the triggers and push forward, and you would move forward in the game. Never would have thought it would work so well, but there's a good amount of sensitivity. Apparently you can do this while swiping forward on your jeans and your lap too if you wanted to. Other surfaces should work as well. In the Nintendo Direct live stream, they also showed this other golf game where you move the putter around and rotate it and then make a stroke using the mouse motion, all on a table like a mouse. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. We'll see what other games end up using this control. Now, we didn't get a whole lot of other...
I really hope that feature is good. I feel like they did decent with the other Switch or whatever, but I could see this being, if it lacks precision and has this weird like snap left or right to the where you're actually doing it being really janky. But
specifics like
it could be
the
good
chip
though.
It's running, or even how much RAM it has, which admittedly, a lot of Switch buyers just don't care about. But one big spec that they did improve is they've gone from 32 gigs of storage on the original Switch to 256 gigs of storage. And the storage is faster. So I definitely appreciate this. You can see my Switch home screen behind me. I could only fit 3 games on my Switch because one of them was Rocket League and it was like 17 gigs. But I also think this will directly relate to how much larger Switch 2 games will probably be. So 256 gigs will feel in line with the larger file sizes, bigger textures, higher resolution, and all that. Switch 2 games will probably also be bigger too. So thankfully, there is still micro SD card support. It lives right here under the hinge again, and you'll specifically have to get a micro SD express card to play games off it on the Switch 2. But I think generally they'll be pretty easy to find. I already saw Lexar is going to be making a 1 terabyte micro SD card just for the Switch 2, so that's awesome. Now the Switch isn't a Switch without the dock, and the new dock supports 4K resolution out to a TV. Love to see that. There's actually also a fan in the Switch 2 dock that turns on while it's docked. So while it's cranking out that extra resolution, it doesn't get too hot. But from there, I feel like all of the new software features have a bit of a theme. This Switch 2 feels like a much more social console. Like there was, I think Nintendo saw a ton of success with the original Switch and started thinking about more ways to make it a better experience, because now there are going to be groups of people where several of them have a Switch. So when you hit that new C button on the Joy-Con, it brings up this new menu called Game Chat. So they didn't let us do this in the demos that I tried today, but in Nintendo Direct, you can see the idea is if you have some friends on other Switches gaming at the same time as you, you can all turn your mics on and talk to each other, or even turn screen sharing on to see each other's gameplay live, which is cool. I know a lot of people do FaceTime while gaming and kind of want to combine the whole experience. So I personally probably wouldn't do this, but I totally get it. And
so what if some guy is in the subway and he's playing his own Mario Kart, and you join on a subway and you sit down and it's available. I'll be in his world ever, and you fucking roll his stupid ass.
It's funny. It was actually refreshing seeing this in Nintendo's official footage. You can see the gameplay from other people as you're watching it it's kind of laggy. And it's kind of low resolution, but it's totally fine. Like, this makes me believe more that what we're seeing here is exactly how it'll look. Like, Nintendo didn't want to make any fake promises, like, oh, it'll be 1080p when you watch other people game. But hey, at least you'll have an idea of what's going on their screen, so that's cool. But not only that, if you get this optional accessory here, which is called the Switch 2 camera, this little thing plugs into that top great depth, but it'll be a sort of extra layer on top and makes it feel more social. So Game Chat is cool when you're in multiple different places, but there's also going to be situations...
People always say, dude, you can just get a capture card with your console and go on Discord and screen share. Okay, when it comes down to simplicity is king. When it comes down to fucking doing shit, nobody does that. I would probably say that over people that screen share from games to friends, 0.001% probably includes game capture card people.
where multiple people are all gaming in the same physical place with Switches. And so they built a feature just for that, which is being able to share a game with other people who don't have it yet, up to 3 other people. So one Switch 2 is the host, and then up to 3 other Switches, they don't have to have the game installed at all. It's just one guy goes, all right, guys, I'll have this game. We're all going to play it in the same room. And every one of you now temporarily has this game, and you can play your own perspective of the multiplayer or whatever without having to buy or install the whole thing at that moment. I'm not sure exactly how.
PS did it first. I mean, DS also had that with you could literally play Metroid with other people that don't have the game.
Set up, or like exactly which games will support it. But a Switch 2 can host, and then up to 3 other Switches can join. It's called Game Share. I like it a lot. And then actually, speaking of games, there's basically going to be 3 types of games for the Switch 2.
Yeah, I saw that.
You'll pay. It's going to start off at $449 in the US. Now, I've seen mixed reactions to that price. Obviously, the Switch 1 was amazing. It was $300, but that was almost 10 years ago. So now, new specs and updates and inflation and tariffs and all of that, to me, actually makes $449 feel like a pretty reasonable price. The Switch 2 camera accessory is $50. Feels about right. There's also a new Switch 2 Pro controller. Let's be honest,
they probably, like other consoles, lose money on every console sold, but make that money back on licensing and games and stuff
with new back buttons, plus a headphone jack, and of course the added C button. That'll be around $80. But then the game pricing is where they start to lose people a little bit. It's reported that Switch 2 games are going to be around $80 just for a digital download Switch 2 game. $90 if you want the physical version. That definitely feels really high. There are so many great PC and console games, and even Switch 1 games in the store in like the $50 to $60 range right now.
That kind of sucks.
NBA 2K25 is like my...
I know this, yeah, but dude, the plastic, the whatever, I agree. But I think the price should be the same. Physical to online. And maybe online pays a little bit more, like $2, so that both are at $82 to pay for the plastic and the paper and all that. Because physical copies are still an important part of gaming, okay? A lot of people care about it, and you shouldn't punish them by making them pay more money for it. I think it's bad. I don't think it's a good precedent to set.
Staple for an expensive game, that's $70 on the PS5. So pushing that up again, $80 to $90 for a Switch 2 game does feel kind of like it's pushing it. And then they also announced this really smart-looking demo game called Welcome Tour that basically walks you through all of the features and lets you demo everything and really get to know the Switch 2 well. Kind of reminds me of Astro's Playroom on the PlayStation 5, which did...
He's a boomer, take it. Okay, as a gamer, what do you own? What do you own? The games you have are borrowed. You own fucking nothing. You probably, maybe if you don't even have a console, you own nothing. It kind of sucks. It's cool to still have things, okay? It's still cool that I paid $80. I still, even though this is worth $1 plastic, to have it is still fucking cool, okay? People forget that it's cool to just kind of have it, okay? The other things that, this game was... Dude,
it was the exact same thing. Helped you learn what the DualSense controller was capable of. And that was free. That actually came pre-installed on the PS5 at launch. And Nintendo has even done Wii Sports in the past, which was a free demo game that came on the Nintendo Wii and low-key turned out to be one of the greatest games of all time. The Nintendo Switch 2 demo game, though, is paid. It's not included for free. It's going to be like $10 or $20 or something like that in this.
Back in the day, Chef, you bought a Wii, okay, that your broke ass played only Wii Sports, and the game that came with the Switch was probably Red Steel, okay? And you didn't play a fucking other game for like a year and a half straight, my brother. That's what I did.
But even just having it paid at all, to me, seems like a huge miss. That's going to be so many people that are not going to experience it, that are not going to be able to fully walk through it and understand and get to know their Switch 2, because no one's going to go buy that demo game. I don't know what they were thinking there. Other than that, though, the Switch 2 seems pretty sweet. Not gonna lie, I really like it. There's a reason the original Switch was one of the best-selling consoles of all time. It was
There's probably gonna be something with the demo game that's like really fucking cool and fun, and like whatever, and then everybody ends up buying it and say, "Oh, I didn't buy it," and then people buy it. But at the same time, I feel like you have to kind of foster that behavior. I think giving a piece of it free, or whatever, probably important. But hey, I don't know. I don't make the fucking
well-priced, great form factor, very versatile, for me, the perfect airplane game console. I would say the signs are pointing to Switch 2 also being really good again. But there are also definitely some things we still don't know. Like, for example, we obviously don't know the chip and the RAM. We do know it's confirmed that there is some amount of DLSS happening. I would assume that to do 4K on a TV, there's some amount of upscaling happening. We just don't know exactly how much yet. But then also battery life. How similar or different will battery life potentially be from the first Switch? You know, having a bigger, higher refresh rate, higher...
Okay, so Astro Room was free. They fostered that behavior. Oh, look. And then Astrobot was paid. See? See? That's a good example. And people really bought it. So, I mean, you can kind of do that pattern if you do it right. But Nintendo, they used to lead the industry in that type of stuff. Now, they fell behind.
A resolution screen tends to eat battery life, but it's also bigger, so the battery capacity can be bigger, so maybe it just balances out. And
Wait, did you say?
Switch. Oh, battery life. How similar or different will battery life potentially be from the first Switch? You know, having a bigger, higher refresh rate, higher resolution screen tends to eat battery life, but it's also bigger, so the battery capacity can be bigger, so maybe it just balances out and it's similar.
3-hour charge time? Brother, where's like lightning bolt or whatever? Bro, my phone charges to full in fucking like 8 minutes. What the fuck is this shit, man?
TBD. I don't think fast charging is announced or anything crazy.
Oh, that's the first Switch.
But then also things like durability and whether they fix Joy-Con drift or not. These are all things that are TBD and that I think would be great to find out for a full review. So maybe get subscribed if you're interested in seeing something like that to be among the first to see it. And let me know in the comments down below what else you want to see. Now, if you're one of those people who's just going to pre-order no matter what, then I highly recommend checking out the Kill Switch from channel sponsor Dbrand. See, originally the Kill Switch line was developed for the Steam Deck and that ended up being one of the best possible Steam Deck cases. So now they're taking this same formula.
No, I'm good. I carry my shit fucking handheld. Shut up. Fuck a case. I don't care. I don't give a shit. We go raw. We go raw.
What a load of shite, bruv. #ad.